folks? How you doing? This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce right here for the Views Express Live for the 28th of March, 2014. And, hold on here, folks. Using my laptop. Anyway, how y'all doing today? You doing good? Awesome. Hey, in just a little while, we're going to have Mr. Nick Tucker from Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook. And, yeah, he's been on a little hiatus. Haven't heard any podcasts from him recently. Just taking a little vacation, probably well-deserved, as I did. I took a little mini vacation, so I was good, man. I was really, really good. Hey, let me do this. I'm multitasking, folks. You're gonna have to forgive me here for a minute. It always happens when I have to multitask. Today has just been an extremely weird freaking day. Okay. Let me see if I can get him on, all right? Hey, look at that. Phone's ringing. Anyway.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Nick Tucker. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, doing good. How have you been up to this point?
Hanging in there, let's put it that way.
Yeah, a little hiatus from your show, and that's always good. Just to kind of clear your mind away from all that crap.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Let me, sorry, I got to adjust some sounds over here. Well, let's see here. Okay. Yeah. So, you've been posting all sorts of stuff, and I really appreciate it, because a lot of stuff that I've seen really matches up with what I've been hearing. So, give us your take on this whole VA thing and this thing that, what is that, the harm, whatever, those girls that are missing, whatever. What's your take on all that? Is there a reason for that, or is that just a massive distraction at this point?
Well, if we want to get in with the girls with the Boko Haram situation, there's been a lot of reports coming out today and the last couple of days that have shown that Boko Haram may not in fact be legitimate, might not in fact be an affiliate of Al-Qaeda or even a terrorist extremist group in the first place. Still trying to put the pieces of the puzzle of that together and trying to figure out what is which, but we do know that there have been videos that they've shot where they have the Al-Qaeda flag in the background and the same sort of symbolisms that they do as well. But we got to remember this as well, folks, is that, Boko Haram or any other terrorist organization that they tell you, meaning the mainstream media, state-run media, it's all interconnected. It's all one and the same. It's all the same people that are running and funding any of these organizations. And whether it's used for a distraction or it's used for a massive false flag or gun running like Benghazi was, whatever the case is, there's always more to the story. There's always more to these groups than what they are leading on, obviously, because if they told you the whole story, then their whole plan would fall apart before it even got off the ground. So the whole situation there is really sketchy. Are there girls missing? Probably 99% yes, obviously. But the question is how legitimate is Boko Haram? Do they really exist? Do they really have the girls, or the girls with some other group that we don't know about? Who knows? All we know right now is that details are sketchy, and that it's just it's all up in the air. And one thing that the state-run media says, doesn't fit well with what these other people are saying on these other media organizations. So you really have to put the pieces of the puzzle yourself and follow the spider web to figure out what's the truth and what's not the truth. And it seems every day there's just, more and more real information and misleading information that's coming out regarding Boko Haram. So who even knows anymore?
Yeah, I mean, I when I heard about that and I heard that Hillary Clinton may be involved, I'm just like, really? Oh my God! It's she's just become a laughing stock, really. She needs to be put in jail as far as I'm concerned. But that's just me.
Well, I mean, it is true. The whole foundation, the whole establishment foundation is crumbling. But then you have to ask yourself, why is it crumbling? Is it crumbling because we are really fighting back and we're actually making headway in this war that they have waged against us for so long? Or is this part of their master plan? And again, it's to sit down and dissect every single bit of information. As tedious as it is, it needs to be done, because you can't rely, obviously, as we've beaten over the head so many times, you can't rely on state-run media or any of the newspapers or none of them to give you the real factual information. They're discrediting themselves, but again, is it going by their own script, or are we really making that much, gaining that much ground against the establishment, not just here in this country, but all over the world? That's the question that really needs to be asked.
Yeah, and I think, with what's happening in China and those relationships that we have over there, I don't think the negative stuff coming out of there is as bad as they say it is. And I know the situations between Vladimir Putin and Barack Obama are pretty much, it's just a massive chess game to them, and I don't really think it's what the state-run media is saying. They keep calling us fearmongers. No, they keep having that disinformation machine running to cause us to be misled to believe that something is wrong. And I don't know the Boko Haram thing. I don't know enough about that to really give my opinion on that. But I look at it so far as being a distraction from the real issues of what's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. It always seems that when some of the big major stories come up, or some big breaking news that could really put a dent in their power grid, it seems we always have something that pops up at the last second, and it's done so perfectly as far as how big this national story is, or this worldwide story is. The case of Boko Haram is, you have to think and wonder, how long of planning did it really take to get this, distraction done, if it is indeed a distraction. Again, we don't know too much. All we've known is what we've, seen so far and dissected so far. So obviously there's more information to come out. But, with all the talk of the Bilderberg, this week, we got all this talk about, Ukraine and Russia, and now we got the talk about this other distraction point of the Boko Haram situation, and then we got the whole veteran situation going on in this country. There is just so much going on at once that nobody can really focus in on one key issue to figure out the truth on that one key issue when you have all these other ones popping up. And you have to think, again, is this part of their power grid? Is this part of their master plan? Is to have all these distractions keep popping up like they always do? It's like clockwork for us to, stay distracted and not spend too much time on one key topic.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's overwhelm the system, as it were, as it said. And I really believe, looking at all this stuff, and I get not only your posts, but posts from other people as well, talking about, what's going on. And right now I've got a post, perfect from you, posted on your site there at Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker, from Joseph Goebbels. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. And it shows all the state-run media outlets right below it, and that's so true. When this whole thing, got going, I started seeing, they started putting for lack of a better phrase, they started, putting the wagons around the people. They're like, well, let's throw this out here, let's throw that out there, let's do this, let's do that, let's keep them away from the real issues. And of course, like you said, you got Bilderberg this week, and of course Dan Dix and Luke Rudkowski was arrested out there, and Paul Joseph Watson and and they were all out there today. I saw that on the Alex Jones show. David Knight was out there, and they were asked to leave an area by the security and all that. And so I'm all these things are happening at once these past couple of weeks. Boko Haram, you got this, you got that. It's just so many things. Now what's going to happen? Well, things are going to, from what I can tell, get ramped up, and then after this week, after Bilderberg meets and they go and leave and go away, then we got to see the what's going to happen afterwards. So no telling what's going to happen.
Yeah, and as I stated on my Facebook page as well, just yesterday, it's always after Bilderberg is when we have the big major power push in geopolitical talk. We have everything coming ahead after the Bilderberg group. They meet once a year. Secretly, it's not so secret anymore, but it seems that they have a global agenda, obviously, but they have it on a plan now. It seems like, to where they want to say, okay, for this 1 year until we meet again, all of us convene again next year, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to manipulate things. This is what we're going to distract them by. This is how we're going to soft kill all these peasants, as they deem us to be. And then when they come back again after that full year, and they come back, now they look at what they've done and how they can do it better, and how they can stretch certain things out, and how they can really put the house. We're having to talk about the TPP. We're having to talk about the internet censorship. We're having all this talk about censoring all of our free speech. And I am shocked and surprised that you were able to see anything that I post on my Facebook page, because I am in such big censorship on Facebook. It's unbelievable, and it's ridiculous, because it's supposed to be social media, right? Well, instead of censorship media, it's what we allow you to put out. It's what we allow the people to see is what's going to get done. And we no longer live in a free society because of the attendees of the Bilderberg group and even the people above them that's even higher. But the fact of the matter is, we need to really put the hammer down on them as far as figuring out their structure and really getting hardcore into their mindset, more so now than ever, because they are getting to the close point of war, whether it's a World War III or it's just another, Iraq, Afghanistan, who knows. But we do know that we are no longer the superpower of the world. China is. We do know that our dollar is, in the dumpster, in the toilet, completely. We're having, all this talk about the veterans being mistreated. Well, that's an obvious. They hate the veterans. They hate all of us. They hate the veterans even more because they actually have seen what goes on. They were through everything, so they know what's true and what's not. So of course they hate the veterans. Of course they're going to mistreat the veterans, and it's a shame, and it sucks. But that's reality. So we need to become more aggressive and more hardcore in our tactics of research, of getting the word out, spreading the message, however way we can. We're fighting censorship, whatever it is, because we're getting to that end point now, and it's always after Bilderberg is where we start to see more of the push come.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I saw that back in, 2008, the 2007, 2008, the push for, certain things to be more transparent. And, of course, we know that the dictator-in-chief literally started to, talk about that shortly before he got into office. And of course, nailed that concept shut when he said that in 5 days we're going to fundamentally transform America. And man, has he done that in the last 6 years. I mean, he's not only signed the NDAA on December 31st, 2011, but he's enhanced it a bit this last year. And now it's like, it's almost as if It's almost as if he wants everyone to know this is what's, coming out. Yeah, he's being transparent. Yeah, his puppet masters are saying, you know what? People already know we're here. You might as well be the scapegoat and be the, the whipping boy, if you will, for people to yell at you for this. But here's what we're going to do. And I've never seen this type of push for this much globalism, or as Nikki Rapana says, communitarianism, as I've seen in the last 6 years. I've never seen this. I've seen bits and pieces of it through King Bush II. I've seen a little bit through, Clinton when he was in office. But this is like, let's open up Pandora's box, shall we?
Exactly, and that just goes to show you that their script is going along just perfectly, and they're following everything to, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, because if we had the same problems as we do now under, Obama, okay, let's pretend for a second that none of this even exists. There is no New World Order. Your votes do matter. Everything is peachy clean. There's only Democrat, Republican. There's nobody else. Okay, well, let's look at this here. If we had the same crap under Clinton or under Bush or under Reagan or under the other Bush, it doesn't matter. Where will we be in 20 years from now if this was going on back in their times? You know what I mean? Where will we be at now? And that's the key point, is that we need to keep pushing back, because their script is going along so perfectly that they couldn't get away with this like they have now with Bush, because they had everything to set up first. They had to do the 9/11. They had to do all this other stuff. They had to put in the Patriot Act. They had to put in the TSA, the DHS, all these people. They had to get all the pieces in play first before they can make their final push, and that is to totally, kick us out and lock us up in indefinite detention and all that. They couldn't do that back then because the part of the pieces of the puzzle were not in play yet. Well, now they are, and everybody blames Obama, and hell, I blame Obama too. I know you do. Everybody should, but he is not the sole figure. And to waste all of your energy and time to whine and cry about what Obama has done, nothing ever changes, because, as you just said, they are just the puppets. They are just the puppets dancing on the string. So it doesn't matter if you oust him now. It doesn't matter if Fox News, Kelly says, well, why don't we just get rid of Obama now and impeach him? It does not matter, because all the pieces are in play. And if he does get impeached, well, then that just goes to show you that it is by their grand design, okay? Because they're not going to allow themselves to get in that position of saying, well, you're going to have to be impeached now because you did a screwed-up job. They wouldn't put themselves in that position if it wasn't already by the design. We collectively need to come together and figure out this grand design as best as we can with the limited information that we have by listening to the whistleblowers, John Skull and Bones Carey, instead of saying man up and face your consequences back here. How about you man up and face your consequences, you murderer, you scum? Yeah. It's stuff like this that really gets under my skin, and it should get under everybody's skin, because this is real life.
Yeah. It's right out there in front of people. I mean, it literally was laid out under, I think, Roosevelt, and the concept was put together, and it was there, and it was talking about a roadmap. I mean, Truman was in it, but he was going, but wait. Let me say that they're all puppets. All of them. Everybody from 1865 on up. They're all puppets. Before that, they were fine. They were for the people. The people loved them. But now, right now, you said it correctly. The pieces of the puzzle are there. They're connected, and everybody is seeing this, but because we were not taught to look for solutions, now we're scrambling for solutions. And of course, you and I and Brian Lang and Pete Santilli, we're all doing the best we can to get this information out to people as quickly as we can. And some of the stuff is really hidden, and we got to go look for it. So that's our job, to get that information out. But once it's out, people should see it. And if they don't, it's one of those things,
Exactly, and we can always go back and talk about the word convenient and how just convenient everything is, and how I don't want to have to worry about anything or hassle about, anything else or I, have to worry about. So let's just make it convenient. So, Amazon, why don't you just go ahead and, bring in my package, because you already know I'm going to order it anyway. So why don't you just go ahead and do it and drop it off at my doorstep with a drone? That would be great. Thank you. I mean, seriously, this is the society that we have built for ourselves because of the people that came before us that had that same mentality of just, whatever, it won't be as bad, nothing will ever be as bad. Let's just, work with it. Let's just make it happen. I don't think so. And this is why you just hit the nail on the head right there, that we're scrambling to find solutions now. Everybody always wants a solution. Well, you know what? The first solution is to get your head out of the clouds and figure out what's really going on and stop having everything be so damn convenient to you and figure out in the long run, what does this mean? I saw in the local news today, they're talking about this brand new Google driverless car with no brakes and no steering wheel and no nothing. And all the news anchors are like, yeah, that's great. That's awesome. That's so, with Chinese fly, so high tech. Are you kidding me? Do you not know what those are going to be used for? Have you seen the plans? No, you haven't. Why? Because you yourselves, news anchors, are not reporting on the real news. Who the hell is that Bilderberg from Fox News, CNN? None of them. None of them. Why? Because it's too real to cover. This is the stuff that we need to go after. Stop worrying about how convenient everything is, and everything is so rosy, because it's not.
Yeah. Bob Brutus from WakingUpTheMasses.com is in the Spreaker chat, so I want to say hello to him. And this show is being broadcasted live on 1610 AM in the Chickamauga, Georgia area, and hopefully on the TuneIn app on your iPhones and all those other tracking devices that you have in your hand. So anyway, hello, Bob. So, to me, I saw the news. I saw some things today about this shooting in Southern California yesterday, and I saw, I heard on Brian Lang's show, the Live Truth Radio today, I heard clips from Obama's speech at West Point, and he got a very lukewarm, if not very cold reception to the things he was saying. Those folks at West Point are awake to his manipulation. They know who he is. They can see through him like a freaking window. And I have no idea when it's going to be the time when you and I or anybody else is just going to get up and get out and start getting out in the streets and yelling at the top of our lungs. Myself personally, I don't care if I look like a freaking nutcase out there yelling that the government's, doing what they're doing. I don't care. I mean, people have to hear it. Oh, I'm pretty sure people know it already, but they're just sitting around going, well, I don't want to, they're just, like you said, convenient. They want to sit back, wait for somebody to do it, and then they'll say, oh, is that going to profit me? If not, okay, I'll just sit back here in the shadows and just stay here and be safe.
Exactly. If it's not, on some big platform, like it's on your television set or in your newspaper that you go buy at the coffee shop, then it just can't be real. Over this weekend, you want to talk about, convenience and how, people have their heads in the clouds. This weekend, I attended a family function, and I had some people there that I've never met before, don't know them from Adam, and we just got to talking. And one thing led to another, and here we are talking about what they deemed as conspiracy theories. And we went through the whole slew as much as we could fit in the 2 hours or so that this function was going on. I mean, we talked about everything. They wanted to pick my brain, ask me questions. At first, they were, making fun. They were doing the whole, oh, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, whatever, But as time went on, and I said to them, this is true, and I wasn't laughing. I was serious, straight-faced, I was jumping up and down like a lunatic as well, because, hell, this, excites me too, and it should excite anybody, because this is life. This is truth. This is being real. This is being honest. And anybody should have that feeling of passion for what you do. And this is the passion that I have, is to, put this message out for these people to understand in a way so they can go out and figure it out themselves. I'll lay the groundwork for you. I'll give you the clues of what to go search for, but you got to put the effort in, because you can listen to me all day long, but if you don't do it on your own, then you're going to get nowhere with it. And I tell you, by the end of the 2 hours, their floors were on their jaws were on the floor. They had, stars in their eyes, they didn't know what to think. And I guarantee you, I gave them something to do when they got home, a little bit of homework, and I'm anxious to see where they came about with all that, and I'm hoping to hear back from them soon. But this is what we have to do. And as you just said, I don't care if I'm standing out on the street, acting like a lunatic. You will be noticed, you will be heard. Another one that was at the function was saying, "Oh yeah, I saw a bunch of people, downtown protesting some food thing." And I was like, "Yeah, that's the March Against Monsanto." I was like, "Yeah, that might have been what it was. What's that all about?" And after I told him what's Monsanto and what are GMOs and how it's dangerous and what they do, his jaw was on the floor too. Like, my God, he even went as far as to say you should probably run for some local office. And I said, "Whoa, buddy, let's not get a hold of ourselves now."
Yeah, I know. When I was living in California, I told people the same thing, and they're like looking at me going, "Oh man, you ought to run for city council or county government." I'm going, "No." And they go, "Why not?" And I go, "Well, first of all, they'd probably get rid of me in the first year. They'll probably vote me out or something. Or somebody might want to kill me because I'm going to tell them the truth." And they're just like, "Oh, man." So I know what you mean. It's like some people, you start talking about this stuff to, they look at you like, yeah, okay, put down the drink and stop smoking what you're smoking and you'll be fine. But then after a while, they look at you like, "Oh my God, this stuff is really true. He's really believing what he's saying." And of course, when they go do the homework and come back to you and you see him later, they're like, "Oh my God, I never knew any of this." And that's happened to me. I don't know if you just said it happened to you. It happened to me several years ago with a friend of mine who lives in Carson City. And I was telling her about all this stuff. And she's like, "Oh, my God." And she went and checked it out. She said, "I spent hours on the internet looking this stuff up and listening to the news and all this." And she goes, "Oh, my God, you're absolutely right. This stuff is happening." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I've known this for quite some time."
I always love that, too, when you have the people that say to you, "Well, if it's on the internet, it has to be true, right? You believe everything that's on the internet." Yeah. Well, buddy, do you believe everything that's on your television set, too? Do you believe everything you read in your mainstream newspapers? Well, if you do, I feel sorry for you because there's a lot more truth out on the internet. Is there disinformation? Of course there is. There's disinformation in everything that you look at. It's a matter of knowing what you're looking for and deciphering the truth from the non-truth, okay, the fiction that they're giving you. You need to know, you need to understand yourself how to decipher that information because it's almost like it's coded. It's encoded in everything that they put out. What's truth and what's not. It's up to you to figure out for yourself what's true and what's not. How many times have I said on your show and on my show, I had it, is, "Hey, Bilderberg is meeting every year. Bilderberg does this. Bilderberg does this. Yeah. They control everything, and there's masters above them, but they are, the place to be." Obama was there in 2008 with John McCain. Yeah. Bush was selected as president, not elected, key word, selected as president in the early 90s at the Bilderberg Group. Where's Fox News' coverage on this? Where's CNN's coverage on this? Where's Glenn Beck, everybody's favorite Glenn Beck?
Oh,
That's right, he's not there. Because it's truth. It's real journalism, and they're afraid of it.
Exactly. And I've been, just in the last several weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, I've been listening on and off to Glenn Beck. And I swear to goodness, and just, I don't know if this is a connection, but he broadcasts on the same network as George Norrie, Premier Network. So I don't know who owns them, but obviously he's being told what he can and cannot say. But I'm sure of it, So, so I don't know. And I've heard several people already say they've just canceled their subscription to the Blaze and everything else because Glenn Beck just he's more. He's not a real journalist. He's a commentator as an observer of life, but he doesn't know the issues. He doesn't, sure, he may have certain people that come to him and he may have some ex-SEALs who are, bodyguards and all, but he doesn't get into the meat and potatoes of all of what's going on. He may have somebody in Washington that's, an insider, quote unquote, tells him things, but he's not like Pete Santilli, who went down on April 12th, went down to Bundy Ranch, and that was the video you saw. He was the one that videotaped that when Ammon Bundy got tased. And that went viral all over the place. And the Pete Santilli show broke all of that. And it just went completely berserk all over the place. And then Glenn Beck kind of washes it down. He's talked to Bundy, and Bundy set him straight. I heard the interview. Bundy, kind of set him straight, and they're both Mormon. So, so think about that one. But yeah, all that, like Sean Hannity and Megyn Kelly and Joe Scarborough and Mika Brzezinski, whose father is Zbigniew Brzezinski, all of them water it all down. And some of them don't even talk about it. And they're like, this is going on, but that's what the conspiracy theorists talk about, and they throw it away. Real journalism means getting in the trenches, getting dirty, getting up in these people's faces, and I got to hand it to David Knight and Paul Joseph Watson and all those people who are over in Denmark right now. And I saw the video of them standing out at the Marriott, and the security guards rushing them off because they're just like, you don't need to be here, go away, whatever. And so they're in there. They're right there. But like you said, Fox isn't covering it. Glenn Beck's not covering it. Sean Hannity's not covering it. Nobody's covering it. Nobody wants to cover it because members of the Bilderberg Group own the media companies that have these shows. So they're not going to give away their secrets on national television. You're crazy.
Yep, exactly. That's exactly right. And Luke Rukowski and Dan Dix, getting arrested last night and have been since released. But, I'm jealous, very jealous of the David Knights and the Dicks and the Rukowskis and the Paul Joseph Watsons for being out there and covering this stuff, because I wish that I had some sort of a platform that was big enough to send, me over there and to get arrested with them as well, because that would be a badge of honor for me to, help in my own way, contribute in my own way to, opening up the eyes of the people around the world, just like you do with your radio show, just like I did with my radio show, and just like Bob Brutus does with his radio show. The fact is that we are doing our job. They are, meaning the mainstream, the state-run, are not, folks. And when they say to me all the time, well, you just not conspiracy theorists, I ask them, what truth have you gotten from, mainstream? I won't even say state-run. I won't confuse them just yet. What do you get from mainstream media? Well, exactly. You get nothing. Yeah. You get nothing at all but diluted crap that's force-fed for you to, try to make sense of in your little mind that's been fluoridated and GMO'd out. Okay, these are facts. This is real journalism. It's not conspiracy theory stuff when you have their own documents to show that this stuff goes on, that this stuff is real. Folks, I mean, you can't get it any more plain as day as that. You can't put it in someone's face as much as that without saying, hey, can I slap you just once? Because, I mean, this is the truth. You're not getting real journalism from them. They are paid and bought for just like your politicians are, folks. You're not getting anything from them. And the so-called alternative scene, the alternative media, is the real media, folks. What we do here, what I am saying here, and what Wayne is saying, and what everybody else is saying that's on the, quote, alternative side, is the truth that you're not going to hear from the mainstream, the lamestream, the state-run media side, because exactly how you said, the Bilderberg attendees are the ones who tell you what's news and what's not news. I mean, how much more plain as day do you need to be?
Yeah, exactly. It's speaking of Bob Brutus a little bit ago, he put in my Spreaker chat, Megyn Kelly, porn star with a teleprompter.
That's all it is. That's all Fox News is. Are a bunch of bimbos, that think that they're telling you the real news, which they're not. Yeah. And, earlier today I was watching The Five on Fox News, that horrendous show, just because I was flipping through and I happened to see Snowden. And I clicked on it just at the perfect time when they're talking about Snowden's NBC interview, I think it was with Brian Williams, and how Kerry came out and said, well, he should man up and come back. And, all these bimbos were just trashing Snowden and saying, oh, yeah, he's like a pajama wearer that's in the closet or whatever, this and that. I mean, really, people? Really? Does your Fourth Amendment not mean anything to you? Does your privacy not mean anything to you? Does nothing mean anything to you? Do you even have a brain in your head?
Yeah, exactly. And, of course, The Five has that big old buffoon other than Al Sharpton, is Bob Beckel. That guy is the dumbest piece of garbage on the face of this planet. Sure, he may have a mouth and it runs, but certainly what's coming out of there doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, it doesn't make any sense, and that just goes to show you just how on, let's play politics here for a second. The Democratic side, well, they're all, idiots. We have one here in Nevada named Harry Reid that we know is a complete imbecile, and that goes for the Republican side as well. How many times has Rand Paul put a signature on to not label GMOs? How many times have you heard Rand Paul come out and actually talk about the Bilderberg and or his father talking about the Bilderberg group? I can't remember. When was the last time Ted Cruz did? When was the last time Ted Cruz, put his name on a signature to label GMO? Oh, that's right, he didn't. None of them care because they're all paid and bought for. As long as they have their fancy little house and a nice car and, their wife is happy and they don't have to worry about anything, they'll keep passing legislation through in D.C., folks, because that's what they're paid to do, is not give a crap about you and I, but to completely destroy everything around us slowly but surely, and in turn make us feel bad for supporting someone like an Edward Snowden, make us feel bad for supporting a Chelsea or Bradley Manning. This is the society that we live in. No longer can you stand up for yourself and defend yourself. No, now you're supposed to just, get down in a fetal position and cry and scream and wait for help. Are you kidding me? What's wrong with this society, people? Wake up.
Yeah, exactly. When you look at people like, you're getting back to the mainstream media, when you look at people like Janine Pirro, Judge Pirro, she literally in her opening, I've heard some openings of her shows on YouTube and such, and it's a wonder that she's still working at that station at Fox. I'm curious as to why they keep her around. Is it controlled opposition? Is she really that patriotic to say, hey, knock this crap off, this is what's going on? Or is it, again, is it controlled opposition? I think a lot of it is disinformation to mislead people. And you have people like Glenn Beck, and you have people like, the folks over at Fox or at CNN or whatever, and they bring people on they know that will toe their line, but they're controlled opposition.
Absolutely. We have them all. We've got, Judge Andrew Napolitano. We've got Dr. Ben Carson. We've got this judge lady you were just talking about. Yeah. They all make good points. They all, say some good things most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. But again, just like you asked the question, why are they still working there if they're making valid and logical points? Well, could it be, misleading? Could it be that, hey, we'll put this information out there just a tad bit, to hang on to these viewers and these listeners just a little bit longer before we really put the hammer down on them? Or are they just, saying, well, you're only one person, we are in the majority, so you can go ahead and say whatever you want, nobody's going to buy in your crap anyway. Just like I've always said, I would love to walk up to a Rand Paul or a Ted Cruz or a Judge Andrew Napolitano or Ben Carson and ask them, what's your stance on the chemtrails? What's your stance on the Bilderberg Group and the New World Order in general? And to have them with not a clue in their head to speak about the truth, it will make my day right there, because I want to have that on camera to show everybody that they are, in fact, pawns, tools in the grand game of chess that is the New World Order.
Yeah, I'd love to look at someone like Rand Paul or Ted Cruz or Mike Lee or even the numbnuts in Arizona, John McCain, and say, what is up with the United Nations trying to tell us about our Second Amendment and trying to get us to sign on to their bull crap? I'd love to see the look on their face,
Well, it is the truth, and it's a sad truth, and it's a sad reality. I've talked about it on your show before, how this country is indeed a corporation, and that we are run by tyrannical, businesses, tyrannical governments that serve this greater need, this bigger need of this grander scale of the New World Order, which is a corporation. That's all this is. Every single so-called president that we have is nothing more than just a businessman in a nice suit with some cheap cologne on, smiling for the cameras while he's reading off of a laptop. A teleprompter. That's all that it is. That's all that it is. It's a facade. It's a game. None of these people are real, folks. Their can is fake. Their teeth are fake. I guarantee you their personalities are fake. They are not real people. They are, shells of what a soul used to be. Now they're just strung from, some tight strings from the roof, and now they're just dancing to their part. They're dancing to the beat of the New World Order. That's all that this is.
Exactly, and the corporation owns everything. And, you know, and these people on the other side calling us conspiracy theorists are going, no, they don't know. That's not right. No. Yeah, it is, because you take any business and then you follow the money and you connect the dots and you put the puzzle pieces together. It's owned by the same freaking people. I mean, how can 6 companies, is it 6 companies now? 6 organizations own all of the media in the United States, from television to radio to print. 6 large companies own them all. How can they do that? Because they gobbled them up. They wanted to propagate their narrative to the masses and get them brainwashed. Well, 70% of Americans have woken up to this bull crap, and we know what's going on. That's why CNN and MSNBC and Fox and the newspapers and all that, they're all losing viewers and readers left and right because we woke up to this crap.
Yep, and that's why they need to go in and they need to censor the internet now, because the internet is the last little bit of free speech, real information that we're going to find anymore. And once they take over the internet, whether it's through Internet 2 or through the censorship, the Internet ID cards, or whatever the route they want to take, once they do that, that is the final nail in the coffin for the truth movement, until we go back to literally, you know, having these things called books. At one time, we had these things called books. They had papers and pages and stuff in them. But until we go back to that, if it comes down to it, and we, you know, preach on a street corner, you know, about the truth and what's really going on, nothing is going to change. You know, I wish that McDonald's could go out of business. Do I want to see all the people who work for McDonald's, you know, have to lose their jobs and figure out something else to do? No, but they're serving poison to the people. Yeah. Most of them unknowingly, you know, unwillingly, but they are serving poison to the people. All of these big fast food restaurants are serving poison to the people. But instead of going out of business, they become richer and richer and richer, while us, the masses, become sicker and sicker and dumber and sicker. And I'm sick of being sick and dumb. I don't want to be that anymore. I don't want to be fluoridated. I don't want to be, you know, force-fed GMOs. Enough is enough.
Yeah, I haven't been for a couple of weeks, but, you know, I got to get back to the gym 3 days a week and work out and get rid of the damn, you know, fast food and all this junk that goes into my body. And this past week, I'm like, oh man, I mean, just in the last couple of days, we left for the weekend, we were away, and I looked at everything and I'm going, what in the hell am I eating? You know, what am I eating? And so that was when I just decided I got to get back to the gym. I was fine. I was eating right. And now I'm just like this big tub of lard sitting here, although I'm not that fat. But I have to exercise. And obviously you have some other things to do, you know, that you do outside of this. And, you know, just to get healthy and to stay, you know, fit to do what you do outside of this. I mean, that's got to take a lot of freaking work. I mean, you got to condition your body, you got to work on this, and your mind has to be sharp. And with all this junk coming out of these fast food joints and all of the crap in the water and all of the GMOs in the food, how the hell are you supposed to do that?
Yeah, you know, anything is hard anymore. You know, it's hard to live a healthy lifestyle, because, you know, you really have to discipline yourself. You really have to, you know, get yourself in that right frame of mind to, you know, want to start being healthy and figure out what's healthy and what's not. And not everything that they tell you on the commercials or on the, you know, store shelves are actually healthy for you. They just claim to be, you know. But it's hard when not only are you eating this junk, but you're breathing in this crap from the chemicals that they're dumping every day. I mean, it's a lose-lose situation, and not to mention with the vaccines and everything else. I mean, why is it that we have the highest cancer rates in the world in the United States? You know, autism, all this stuff. It's because of what is being put into our bodies, whether it's the food, the vaccines, or the air that we breathe. Everything is toxic. Everything around us is not natural anymore. To be honest with you, it's really not, because everything around us has been poisoned, has been dumped on, has been just, you know, ran through the mud, and now we're consuming it, not asking questions and not thinking twice. I mean, that's pretty disgusting if you ask me.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And you mentioned vaccines, and naturalnews.com had an article that said White House admits staging fake vaccination operation to gather DNA from the public. The White House admits it.
I mean, how more, out in the open can you get with that? But again, if you read that and you said the White House says, and you show the people the article, they're going to tell you, shut up, conspiracy theorists. You don't know what you're talking about. Vaccines are safe. I'm going to go get one right now. That's the society we live in.
It is. And you spoke of Harry Reid. Harry Reid killed dozens of House-passed VA reform bills. They were all in there. They were all there, and it was all, it's good, and they passed the House. They're all there. And then Harry Reid went, nah, I don't want to look at that right now. He pretty much, after a certain number of days, you have to put it through the Senate, and it didn't, and he killed them all. He just put them all away. He put them all in garbage. He said, no, I don't want to do anything. And that's Harry Reid from Nevada. Hello, Nevada. You got some a-hole in Congress that doesn't care about you, so you better think about your midterm elections. So anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And, the veterans are, the number one target because, as I spoke earlier, they know what's really going on. They've seen the inside. The majority of them do anyway. There's a lot of them that are still, not in the know or choose not to know. But, we've seen this through history before. Once the resource has been used up, once you have no use for it anymore, you just toss it to the wayside and just forget all about it and just let it rot. And that's what they're doing to the veterans, because they've used them to go in and fight these illegal wars, to take over these countries illegally, to do whatever they needed to do illegally, the opium fields in Afghanistan, you name it. Once their use is done, they just toss them to the wayside because they don't have any use for them anymore. So why do we bother pumping money and resources and health care into these veterans when we don't need them anymore? And that's reality, folks. That's the corporation that you live in. The military, conducts all sorts of experiments on you, all sorts of vaccinations on you, all sorts of mind control on you. The military-industrial complex, your puppet leaders hate you. They hate all of us, but especially the veterans, because they have seen the inside. I've talked to them. I know, Wayne, you have. Yeah. It's the fact is the fact that they treat them like garbage. I mean, you're going, you're fighting a war, you're putting your life on the line, and you come home to do what? Stand on the street corner with the sign saying, veteran, homeless, hungry, please help. That is disgusting.
When I went down there and went down to Las Vegas in 2005 for a vacation, I saw a few of them. I saw a few veterans, and I'm like, what? And that's when my eyes got open to the horrendous treatment these people get. Although my cousin many years ago was in the Navy in Vietnam, and he came back. He goes, man, I drank for like 3 or 4 years after I got back. I couldn't handle it because people were treating him like crap. And I know a lot of people that went to Vietnam, and I know a lot of people that went to the Gulf in '91. And I know, I've talked to several people here in town that came back from Iraq and Afghanistan, and they're going, this is stupid. Why is our government doing this? It's not even, we're not fighting, the military is not fighting for our rights here in this country. They're over in other countries fighting these, actually, no. They're being ordered by the corporations to go overtake and subdue a country for the Rothschilds.
And that's exactly right. That's 100% true. And you have to look at the 3 city-states, the city of London, you'll look at Vatican City or Washington, D.C. I mean, those are your 3 pillars. Yeah. That's your pillars of power right there. It's from those 3 city-states. And we send our men and women here in the United States. Other countries send their men and women in the military to go fight and die in these illegal wars. All the while, they sit back, they collect their paychecks, they collect whatever it is that they're collecting from us illegally, by the way, and don't have a care in the world, and they'll go out and they'll, run again in another election, and they'll, go and kiss another baby on the forehead while we are slaving away in this decaying, decrepit system that we call, freedom, democracy, republic, whatever coin word you want to use, it's false. The only one that you need to worry about is the corporation, because it is a corporation. And until we remove that corporate title from this country, we will no longer be free, as we have not been free for quite some time, folks. And serving in the military is like the top of the top. That is the worst because of the vaccinations, the mind control, they get you hooked on drugs. I mean, they do all this stuff to you while you're serving in the military, and all the while you might not know it. And when you get out 5 years later, once the serums and everything else that they've done to you has now start to take effect, and some of the antibiotics start to wear off a little bit. Now you start to get hit with all this stuff. Now you start to have the muscle pains and the stomach pains and the hallucinations and hearing voices in your head, folks, because of what they do to you in the military and what they do to you in the veterans hospital. It's disgusting. This is reality.
This is. Hey, I'm going to do something here I normally don't do, but I'm going to bring Bob Brutus on. Let me connect him as soon as my Skype seems to work now. Sometimes it doesn't. It's temperamental sometimes. So, hey, there he is.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
Hey, Bob, how you doing?
Oh, pretty good. How you doing?
Pretty good. It's good to talk to you once again.
Oh, you too, man. I heard you guys talking about, who was it, Ted Cruz?
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if his wife sees, what's her name, Chelsea Clinton and her husband there at Goldman Sachs where she works.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, again, they're all interconnected. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if, Ted Cruz is being given some information that the insiders are talking about at the Bilderberg meeting, because we know that Goldman Sachs, VPs, execs, all of them have attended Bilderberg in the past, so he knows this stuff is true. He knows this stuff is real, but yet he doesn't say it, and yet his wife is, with the Goldman Sachs. She's with the CFR. I mean, it's just so out in the open. Why hide it anymore? Seriously, when it comes to these people, why hide it?
The mayor of Atlanta, he just south of me here. He's one of the invitees to the Bilderberg this year. I noticed.
Oh my! Well, that was like Bloomberg, the former mayor of New York City, was invited a few years ago and went, and we saw him there in 2008. They run the freaking world for the ones that actually are, strategizing and trying to take everything over. Or taking everything over, not trying.
Well, it's true, and I just wonder, what purpose is the mayor of Atlanta doing at Copenhagen at the Bilderberg Group? A mayor, Bloomberg as well. What are these people doing at the Bilderberg? Well, folks, they're talking about how they're going to take over your infrastructure, how they're going to take over your finance, how they're going to take over your communications, all of it, folks. So, of course, whether it's a mayor, if they wanted to bring a sheriff in, they're going to bring a sheriff in. Doesn't matter how low you are on the totem pole, folks. Once they have you, you're in, because you can't get out unless, you come out and say, hey, protect me, I'm going to go ahead and go public. It doesn't happen with these people because they are so well paid off. They are so well treated. They feel themselves like they're loyal people. What they don't understand is when the final conclusion happens, the curtain is dropped, the New World Order is here, they will be kicked to the curb, just like our veterans have been kicked to the curb.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you look at the French Revolution, French Masonic Revolution, or the 1917 Red Revolution. They take the Masons. Like there was a lot of Masons, not all of them. Your Jacobins sort of were able in the French Revolution to keep their head above above water. But after it's all concluded, hell, they turned on them and started lopping their heads off too.
Oh yeah.
They get rid of what they consider the useful. They become useless lackeys.
Yeah.
Same thing. Stalin and Lenin, they loved using the Grand Orient Freemasons to cause havoc and everything. And as soon as the Soviet Union was established, there's no reason for a lodge anymore.
Yeah.
Look at you took a blood oath to the state. You spied on your neighbor. You're in the lodge.
Oh yeah. And I remember watching some documentaries about that, and going back to the veterans. They are useful. And the government knows it, so that's why they've been deemed domestic terrorists once they get back. And then they're put on these drugs, and you're on that drugs, and you're seeing a psychiatrist, you can't have a gun. What? No, excuse me, hello. And so the government knows that those well-trained military personnel know exactly how to take care of themselves, how to defend themselves and others, and they're going to do it. And that's why I believe the VA is in the shape that it's in now, and it's always been corrupt for 20, 30 years anyway, going back that far that I know of. But now they're just going to use them as pawns, and once they're done, and they're just going to kill them. What is it? What was it, 40 or 38 or something? A big number like that. They were waiting for service, and they died within, the time frame, and they were, sorry, they died, okay.
I've watched the lack of care or horrendous care they've given my father with all his complications from Agent Orange. They don't give a damn.
No.
I tell people they haven't given a damn for years. I got two uncles and a father, both of them greatly affected by Agent Orange. They don't care, man.
Oh no,
They could really care less. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to literally knock a VA doctor's teeth out.
Oh,
sorry, just the way I felt, the way they acted. I can't tell you how many times, but they don't.
They don't. No.
Look at the wars they've exposed these guys to. You think they care?
Oh God, no. God, no. I mean, I was thinking about it the other day. I was out, we were out of town, and I was thinking, what are these, when you go to the military, why is the military in other countries fighting with other people when they should be over here, all of them protecting our borders? Well, it's like I said earlier, they're slaves, they're employees of the military-industrial complex doing the work for the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers to occupy other countries and to take their resources. That's basically it.
Yeah, it's all true. It's all laid out right in front of your very eyes. All you have to do is, open up a book, open up your computer, whatever the case may be, and search it and hunt for the real information. They say that history repeats itself, and it does for a reason and for a purpose. One, so you don't make the same mistakes that you made in the past. So once you see, sort of the same steps that you've taken before, and you know how the outcome was, maybe it's best not to do that. But no, they don't do that. They love how the outcome was because it benefited them. It didn't benefit us. It benefited them as a whole, and it continues to benefit them in every war that we go to, and every banking collapse that we have. It doesn't matter what it is. They benefit from it, so they do everything in their power to deter the truth movement, to deter the facts, to deter the real fighting, the true fighting for a just cause of slavery, for financial gain, to take over everything around us, all of our resources around us, and it's disgusting.
Oh, it is. It is. And didn't General Smedley Butler say something to the effect like war is a racket? I mean, that's literally what it was, and is still to this day.
Yeah, he sure did.
Mr. Brian Lang, he's over in the chat room waking up the masses, and I said, I agree. There should not be anyone working in the VA that isn't a veteran.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I see how I watched how those guys being at the hospital so much. I watched how they care about each other.
Oh yeah.
They got a brotherhood. Yeah, they would take care of each other. And I've watched the guys that were military doctors. That still were, that were in there, and they were good. But then you just get these people, man, just these lackeys in there that don't give a damn.
Yeah, that's like our healthcare system now. I mean, I had something going on. I had to go to the hospital for a few hours and find out what the hell it was, and they couldn't find anything, which was, normal, But I saw how that whole system worked. I'm like, well, wait a minute. And I'm thinking to myself after we left, I'm thinking, if I came in there with a compound fracture of my leg or arm or something horrendous, they would just bend over freaking backwards to keep me, alive or whatever, or to do whatever they needed to do. But if I came in with a pulled muscle or whatever, wait over there, we'll get to you as soon as possible, when there's nobody else around. And I'm just, hello, Obamacare, and it's like, I chuckle because it's frickin' insane just how these people are treating one another in the VA. My dad was an Air Force sergeant from 47 to 50. He was a sergeant when he got out. And I asked him one day, I said, Dad, why don't you go to the VA? You get everything for nothing. And he goes, no, I don't want to go there. And this was like 10 years ago. He goes, I don't want to go there. And he knew it. So, and I'm just like, I don't understand the lack of not only sympathy but the empathy for people when it comes to this whole this VA thing. How these doctors can just treat people like crap if they want to. And here's a Band-Aid. What? But I got a gaping wound. Oh, here you go. Take a pill. No, just come back. We'll schedule you to come in. That's just stupid. And I agree with Brian. Every single person in the VA, from the receptionist to the head doctor, should be veterans. All of them. And that's my feeling about it.
Well, again, it goes to the simple fact that once they have you, you're done. Once you accomplish what they wanted you to accomplish, you're tossed off to the wayside. Let's not worry about this person anymore. Let's move on to the next youngster. Let's go to the high schools and recruit now. Let's go to the malls and recruit now. Let's get the next young in line to get them vaccinated up, to get them under all this mind control, all this therapy. Let's have them go into fight these illegal wars for us again now. So once you've made use of whatever it is that they wanted you to do, you're done. You're cast off. They don't care about you anymore. And this is the fact of the matter that we live in is this decaying society. You see a veteran on the side of the road knowing that he or she was over in a foreign country and they were taking, all sorts of hell while they were over there, supposedly to keep us free, to keep our freedoms over here. All the while they're sucking all of our freedoms away as they are fighting supposedly for our freedom. That makes no sense. But hey, that's our society. But the fact of the matter is that once they come back and they see what's really going on, and I've talked to a lot of them, and I asked them, what did you see over there? I know you don't want to go into the specifics because it brings back memories. I get that. But what you can tell me and what you want to tell me, please do. And I asked them questions as well, with the New World Order and everything else. What do you guys see over there? And 9 times out of 10, they tell me everything that I thought was a, quote, conspiracy theory, everything that I thought was a lie is completely true because I've seen it from my own 2 eyes. And, folks, this is reality. Get out of this decaying society of being glued to your TV and being glued to your cell phone and see the world for how it really is and how it really works and who the master manipulators are behind the scenes, folks, because every puppet will come and go, but the fact of the matter is when the face changes, the system does not.
Exactly. You can, and I see this for my own eyes. I watch, I see what's happening in the District of Criminals. They're changing the rules as they're going along. The rule of law is the Constitution prior to 1871. Period. And they're changing every single thing as they go along. Thank you, Mr. Obama. That stupid, yes, he's a puppet in a suit, okay? That's all he is. And his executive orders, how he does that resembles a king in a kingdom making decrees and saying this is how the land's going to be now. And even if this whole getting into the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Partnership, that's going to shut down or at least bring in a Chinese-style censorship of the internet. And we cannot have that. We cannot have that. That's why I got my CB radios ready to go, man. But if there's an EMP, then we're all screwed,
It's Pandora's box. It's whatever they want to happen is going to happen because there's not enough of us that are doing enough. There's so many of us that are inclined to the real information, but there's only so many of us that are doing anything about it. Us with our shows or YouTube channels or whatever the case may be, nobody seems to get this to be factual, to be real, for the simple fact that they have been brainwashed into thinking that everything that they hear that's not that doesn't quite make sense right off the bat to them is a conspiracy theory. We see all the time in Hollywood, in the movies, how they portray the Illuminati and how they portray the Freemasons and and all these other groups. And of course, to the simple-minded person who doesn't know history, that doesn't know what to look for, they're going to see the Illuminati being portrayed in a movie as a fictitious group or a group that's not really threatening or whatever the case may be. So they're going to go off of that because A, their favorite actor was in it, B, it had a really good, movie score to it, and it was a pretty, enjoyable movie, 2-hour-long movie. I really enjoyed it. So because I enjoyed it, your facts mean nothing to me because I just saw my favorite actor play somebody in that group, and he wasn't a bad guy. So shut up, conspiracy theorists. This is reality. All the music, all the movies is there to distract you, to deter you away from the truth, and they're doing a damn good job of it.
Break down morals too.
Yeah.
That who got that started in our modern day time sort of aspect? That would be, and I tell a lot of people that are patriots and they support the Constitution, they'll quote this guy. I'm like, why are you quoting Voltaire?
Yeah.
They say, well, Voltaire said, hey, it's freedom, I'll support you, blah, blah, blah. You've got to understand who Voltaire was talking to. And these are as Pike called them, these were the atheists and the nihilists of that day.
Yeah.
To get them all drummed up, to get them gnashing at the teeth. So, it really is, I guess, if I'm just, to go back to something you guys just said, I'm astounded, man, every time, I never quit researching. Yeah. I am constantly trying to prove myself wrong. And I don't mind, man. I really don't. I don't have any kind of ego in this. I am truly a researcher, and people don't want to pay attention to these things. People want to, to them it goes into the realm of sci-fi. You know why, Nick? You made a point, because they've seen it on movies.
Yeah,
they've seen it on things they relate. Oh, it's on a movie. It's on like that. It's on that continuous little fictitious script that goes through my mind that it couldn't actually happen anywhere else. And they also, the way they portray it and they put a lot of glitz and glamour and all that stuff on it. I tell people, I said, you want to know what was going on with the Illuminati during the French Revolution, pre-French Revolution? They basically suppressed any kind of Masonic activity in France, but the Masons were still meeting in the lodges where they were planning on, basically, what were they planning? Having their little councils. How many people do have to die? They thought there was 23 million people in France at the time, and there were two numbers that they couldn't really agree on. Some said they needed to kill 16,000. Some said they needed to kill 16 million. Some said they needed to kill 8 million. They had rolling guillotines that you could just put on the back of a horse, small ones, where they would go from city to city, and they would decide, okay, the Christians, the old people, the people with money, the preachers, so forth and so on. Look at Pol Pot. Look at what he did. Look at what Russia did.
God.
The revolutionary plan is really the scariest thing. To me, if you want to put it in the things of frightening, the revolutionary plan. Still to this day, the Grand Orient Lodge over in France, they celebrate the beheading of what was this? Philip? Was it? Who was the one that they beheaded? Man, I know it was Marie Antoinette, and it was the 16th. Philip, was it Philip?
I think it was Philip.
Okay, well, they called him. They had names for the royalty. They called them lambs, and they called them dogs. Well, they can legally get away with this in the Grand Orient Lodge still to this day in France. When they celebrate this, they have a mini guillotine, and they guillotine lambs and puppies. So, really the people talk about the devil worship and this and that. Really the most diabolical thing is what I call their Templarized revolutionary aspect. The aspect that, just take everybody. And I see it, man. I see it in society today. People say, yes, everybody's getting into socialism. It's like they're getting into the French Revolution mindset, or the Peasants' Revolt mindset, or the Red Revolution mindset. They will run, just like the Jacobins led the quote-unquote have-nots during the French Revolution. You have individuals that are pushing it this day. You see them on TV. Last week, I think you had Pelosi, you had Hillary Clinton, you had John Kerry, you had Timothy Geithner, and Michelle Obama. And all of their speeches, what are they doing? They're talking about the elite and the wealthy and how that they are bad. They're talking about, it's like, hello, where did you people come from? do you not know what you're talking about? But see, they're drumming it up.
Yeah.
They're like the Jacobins, man. They're drumming it up. And, Sorry to take up so much time.
No. It's the same type of concept that churches of today have, and from years past as well. I mean, I've been a member of several different churches, over the past 20 some odd years until I started my own, and then I look at how they emotionally build up this energy in the church, and then they come along and say, well, if you don't do this, you're going to go to hell. If you don't do that, and that whole concept is now pervasive from Washington, D.C. Well, if you don't, toe the line here with this type of party and that type of party, or this group or that group, you're not going to be, given whatever it is you need. And it's like that, all that is fear-mongering on both sides, religious and political. It's just fear-mongering. So, and what you were talking about, going from town to town with mini guillotines, that I think was the earliest stages of eugenics, but I'm not sure. But that's what it sounds like. And that's what's happening here. It's like, okay, you didn't do what we tell you to do, or we'll just decide for you or us what is best for this community. And of course, now you have the Sustainable Development Agenda 21, UN, and all this, and now it's rolling back around again. It's coming back to the beginning, just in a different era.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bob made some great points there, as he always does. And it gets you thinking, and it gets you, wanting to go and investigate history. And the Freemasons, and the Illuminati, and that whole the Knights Templar, and just everything about that whole the inner workings of how they think and how they act and what they control has always fascinated me. And going and looking into history has always fascinated me. And everybody needs to do this. Everybody needs to take the time, whether it's an hour a day or it's a couple days a week, whatever the case may be. They need to go and look into history. They need to understand history, because, as we made mention to earlier, history repeats itself and comes back around. And how you're saying, that was at the earliest forms of eugenics, and how we're starting to see, some of the stuff come back around now. It's to the point now to where you don't have an excuse anymore to not know this information in this day of information and this day of technology. You have everything at your fingertips. It's up to you to use something that you probably haven't heard in a while, and that's common sense.
Yeah.
You need to put common sense into your own critical thought process to figure out what's true and what's not. Because when it gets to the point of when you're in that coffin apartment under Agenda 21, under Sustainable Development, when you're caught, defenseless, when your guns have been taken away, but yet the military-industrial complex and the local police departments have armored tanks pointing at your door, I think that's a little bit too late to get concerned. So do it now while there's still a little bit of time before it's truly too late, but you got to put common sense, critical thinking into all this, and understand history and figure out where all this started from, where all this came from, because you start to see everything in a different light once you understand history, because now you know who the Obamas are and who the rest of these power players are, who the Rothschilds are and their tentacles and everything. You have to understand history. You have to understand how the geopolitical world really works, not just listen to the state-run puppet heads and the your so-called presidents and your leaders, because they're not leading you. They're leading you to slaughter, but they're not leading you to victory and true freedom.
Yeah, exactly. They're not. And I've known this for years. I mean, I go back when I started researching this stuff was in the Carter administration, and I'm like, why did he send a helicopter over there and it got shot down? Why? So I began to really search and really see how this government truly is. And the word back then that I got was a shadow government, and that's been going on for freaking years. And it's just incredible how they think they can pull the wool over our eyes and do whatever they want to do. And we've gotten to the point where we're tired of it. And we've been tired of it for the last 6 or 7 years, or longer than that, actually. And it's exponential, if you notice, from the Bush era, the King Bush II, I call him, when Junior was in, he got out, and you saw all that he did, and we're going, the next president will be okay. He'll change everything. You damn right he changed everything. He fundamentally transformed America. And now people are going, whoa, wait a minute, hold on. And now they're seeing the veil being pulled away by the New World Order, going, got ya. You thought you were safe. I don't think so. And now they're just rolling all of this stuff out. And it's just, if people just open their eyes and stop saying, I don't want to hear it. No, I don't want it to ruin my day. Well, your day's already ruined, because now you got a government that doesn't give a crap about you. They don't give a crap about the veterans. They don't give a crap about people doing anything, and they're just going to, take their militarized law enforcement and their Humvees and run through your neighborhood and just take everybody out because, you disagree with the New World Order. Boom, gone, and I like what Brian Lang says, if he's still in the Waking Up the Masses chat room. Stand up, and get involved, and take a stand. And that's
stand
the
up,
point.
Speak out, and get involved.
Yeah, and if you speak out, you have, and I'm pretty sure people agree with this, you have to know what you're talking about. If you don't, you're going to sound like a damn fool, like everybody on those, state-run media channels that they operate. And it's like, when you get involved and put your feet forward and start walking with the knowledge of what's happened in the past, knowing full well it'll happen again, you're able to at least put the brakes on what the opposition's going to do to you. And we've done that in many, many different areas. And you can talk to Brian Lang. He's gone to the overpasses. He's gone to Washington, D.C. He was standing right next to Charles Strange when another reporter came up from Guerrilla Media Network and was talking to him. And I heard this. I heard both of them talking to him. So he was there in Washington, D.C. My point is, if you don't get up off your ass and go do something, nothing's going to get done. But you better have the intellectual ammunition to be able to know what you're talking about when you get out there and start screaming about and protesting about what's going on in this country.
Exactly. I like how you put the stress on that you have to understand what you're talking about, because we sure as hell know that the sheeple out there have no idea what they're talking about. Yeah. And, they haven't had an idea what they've been talking about for the longest period of time now. But, going back to earlier how I made the statement that I was at a family function. I was talking to some people, and their jaws hit the floor when they heard me speak and all this stuff. Well, there's another guy there as well, and this guy's a Mr. Know-It-All. He thinks, that the sun comes up in the morning because of him. He can't do no wrong. He knows all. I don't claim to know all. I'm sure Bob doesn't claim to know all. I'm sure you don't claim to know all. Nobody knows everything, period. That's just the way it is. And to listen to this guy try to, debunk, so to speak, everything that I was trying to say before I could even get 2 words out of my mouth. He was already blabbering off something that had nothing to do with the subject that I was talking about, but he thought he had the moral high ground. He thought he was right because of what he's been told and what he's been force-fed through mainstream and through all this other crap, all these other media outlets. He didn't know what he was talking about until I pulled out my handy-dandy little tracking device, my little cell phone there, and I pulled up some articles to check what I was talking about, showed it to him, and he said, maybe I do have to go and take a look at some of the stuff that you talk about. He heard my radio show, and a lot of times he would say, yeah, I would sit there and, try to debunk everything that you said, but I couldn't really debunk it. He didn't tell me this, of course, but he told an associate of mine, that this is what he would do. So he doesn't want to come right out and say that, hey, I'm wanting to believe I need, more information. No, instead he is one of the types that says, I don't want to hear about it. If I don't know about it, then it must not be true, because if I don't know about it, then, how many other people out there don't know about it, That's a little scary to me. No. You have to get the blindfolds off. You have to put the training wheels into the closet. You got to stand up on your own 2 feet and do something about it. As Brian Lane says, stand up, be heard, do something, get involved. Whatever the case may be, however your platform is, whatever it is that you feel you need to do to get the message out there, do it. But research first. Understand what you're talking about first, because you're going to have those people out there that's going to come at you to try to counteract your intelligence by saying what you're saying is wrong, and I have, everything here to back it up. Look at Fox News. Fox News said you're wrong. No, buddy. Look at who owns Fox News. Exactly. Look who's there at the Bilderberg Group that's associated with Fox News, buddy. Shut your mouth. Know what you're talking about. Get the information. You have no excuse anymore.
Yeah. And
Fox News is Viagra. Fox News is Viagra for neocons, man. I'm telling you. You ever notice? I mean, look at the women on the quote unquote left media.
Yeah.
It's all the same media. But look at the women there. I mean, it may be attractive something, but you go to Fox News. Every one of them, big wide leg stance with short skirts on, and sitting there, like I said, Megyn Kelly, porn star with a teleprompter.
Yep, exactly. There and all of this. Hey, folks, let me give you some reality checks here. Even those listening over on WakingUpTheMasses.com. 3 people in history. 3 people in history have changed the way we see things. Saul Alinsky, Edward Bernays, and this gentleman who I'm going to quote. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. Joseph Goebbels, Nazi propaganda minister. Everything that you see on TV people have sat down and strategized. How can you get these people to believe this? It's called neuro-linguistic programming. Why do you think television is programming?
Look at the writings of. You can find them in a book by. He was a Mason, and he was also a college professor.
Ooh.
In the late 1700s. His name was John Robeson. He wrote proofs of a conspiracy.
Yeah.
And not to be mistaken with the John Robeson that wrote what was it? Born in Blood.
Yeah.
Who was a 33rd degree Freemason. But he he had access to the letters that were confiscated from he went by Cato, but his last name was Watt. He was sort of Weissaup's second in command.
Mm.
So you get all these writings, you get all this correspondence, and you look at Weissaup's writings, and from Marx to Lenin, excuse me, Linsky, all these guys, they're simply repeating.
Yeah.
They're simply repeating. In our modern day time, Weishaupt is the one that got the ball rolling.
Yeah.
Except he made the mistake. Weishaupt even said he would like to do this without bloodshed, if at all possible.
Yeah.
And by illuminating these lodges that were Templar in orientation, see, these are some bloody mean bastards, man. Going back in history, these are some bloody mean bastards, and they just came right back on top of it. His group is out. Then all these guys that were Illuminati, they still are. They sort of come under the control of one of his guys named Baron von Nietzsche, who started the German Reading Union.
Yep.
The German Reading Union, and eventually that culminated in the French Revolution and kept going forward and forward. But all these guys, man, they simply, it's just like they're repeating these same concepts from Weishaupt.
Yeah.
Weishaupt, the dissolving of the family, of the church, of any kind of private property. And we can see it repeated. What was his name? Lenin. Lenin said, we are the what was it? We Bolsheviks are the Jacobins of the 20th century.
Yeah.
Even Lenin.
Yeah.
Said it right there.
And when you look at America specifically, what caused those people in England and Denmark and all these people that kind of culminated into populating England at one point in the 1700s, what caused them to come over here? It was tyranny under what? Not the rule of law of the government, but the government's the government being ruled by the church, which was not the good thing over there, which is still happening to some degree. But then they came over here, became free, and of course, as they say, the rest is history.
A lot of those people were supporters of the Templar Stewards, man.
Oh yeah.
Of the Stewards that they finally got rid of the last one. A lot of them were supporters of them and not the Church of England. Not the, I guess you would say, the legitimate crown.
Yeah.
Like it's legitimate. So, you got a lot of that. So, there was always, man, I even go as far to say as our American Revolution was a Masonic revolution.
Yeah.
But it was tempered by the morality of the country. It could not be an overthrow of the state and the church.
Yeah.
People here like their church. You couldn't do that. You couldn't have this bloody French Revolution.
Yeah.
People weren't, their morals weren't degenerated like they were done over almost a century in France.
Yeah.
So it had to be tempered. It had to be tempered. Even some of those guys, we call them the founding fathers and everything. What was it? I got a quote here that I say it sometimes during my show. What was it? He said, "Yes, we did." And the idea of a republic is a Masonic complex.
Yeah.
A Masonic idea.
Yeah.
And he said, yes, we did produce a near-perfect republic. But will they, everybody always puts this one to Benjamin Franklin because he gave the short phrase.
Yeah.
Jefferson gave the long one. He said, but will they keep it, or will they, in the enjoyment of plenty, lose the memory of freedom? Material abundance without character is the surest way to destruction.
Yep. Yep. If you don't have moral and character and you don't build on that, you're not going to have anything, really. It's just going to go right down the tubes. And we see that in a lot of, when you look back in history, way back in history, the hedonistic, forms of just people doing whatever they want to do. And it's like when you have that type of situation, you're never going to have a foundation to build on of morality and building character and building, yourself into a better person. You're just like, hey, let's let's just do whatever we want. And that's just, it destroys value to a country. And of course, we see that in America.
That's what Lysop called a peculiar morality.
Yeah.
He said that the prudish morality needed to be replaced with a new peculiar morality.
Yeah, yeah. And what is this, equal justice versus social justice? I heard Glenn Beck talk about that. I heard a few other people talk about that. And it's like, if you cannot be of moral character, then justice is not going to be served for the right purpose. It never can be,
As we've been talking about here with this whole time about the Masonic movement and the Illuminati and their tentacles and everything, this just goes to show people how important history really is, and how far along these puppet masters, the top brass have had their hand in everything. And if one would just go and look at, Albert Pike and his writings, like the Morals and Dogma, and how he talked about the 3 world wars and how the first 2 have come to fruition almost identical to how he said, and the Third World War is shaping up to come down as he said. I mean, folks, these people know what they're talking about. They live by a different code. They go by a different honor than you and I do. And in order to understand what, might be coming around the corner next, we need to understand and figure out how these people work. Never mind. That's why I say I always hated politics, because politics does not matter. Politics is another made-up word to distract you from the reality, from what's really going on. And that's what's going on behind everything. What's the geopolitical structure? Not just what Republican Democrats said. No, forget all that. It's what's going on the outer surface that you're not being allowed to see. The doors are shut. Open those doors and figure out who's doing what and who's affiliated with who, because it's been going on for a long, long time.
It has. And it's not so much politics, it's policies. Well, and it's from somebody said that once before. It's not, I forget who it was, but it's the policies that we follow. Not the politics doesn't matter. You're right. It doesn't. It's like religion. It doesn't matter. It's just you have to dig into and find the real culprit of why this is happening as it is, and sending everybody into the direction it's going. And it's really, flush the toilet, people. The crap's going down the toilet. Let's go. I've heard people say we need to, have the United States collapse. We need the government to collapse. We can rebuild it. We've done it, how many times over 238 years? We can do it again. No big deal. But the first thing we have to do is understand the snake is in Washington, D.C., and we have to cut the head off of that damn thing.
Exactly, and that's why it doesn't matter if it's a Rand Paul, if it's a Ted Cruz, if it's a Ron Paul. None of these people matter in the bigger scheme of things, okay? Because as we talked about earlier, and how we've always said, is that the puppet changes, but the structure, the foundation never does. The foundation is always there. The lying, the secrets, the truth will always be there. It's just, a new tenant in the house. It's all that it is. Nothing will ever change because they don't want it to change. They change it in the manner that they see fit because they control everything. Their money, your food, to the air you breathe, folks, to the information that you're getting. They, my friends, control everything. And what you're hearing here, you're not going to hear on any state-run media. You should take this advice. You should take this as gold, and you should go and do your own research because, damn it, we know what we're talking about.
Exactly. And I tell people once in a while on my show, on this show as well, it's like if you oppose the views and the truth and you want to contradict them, again, know what you're talking about, but hey, find a platform to go, criticize me or you or anybody else for what they say. And if you've got the facts to back it up, I already know that they don't, and you do, that too, but then go do it. Go, go for it. You're going to look like a fool because people are going to find you out. But once you understand the very basics of this whole, geopolitical, substance and issues that we talk about, you're going to, and connect the dots and follow the money, you're going to find out we're just slaves in the corporate structure here, doing the bidding of puppet masters that have puppet masters.
Yep. Exactly. I mean, you can't be any more blatant and honest than that. You just look at the bloodline. The lineage of all these presidents. How they're all related in some sort. How they all have connections with the same people. Where they come from exactly. The real truth, the real hidden truth behind all these people. Why is it that you've never heard of an Obama or a Romney or any of these other people before, but now they're big time stars and the big time players now. Now they're the real movers and the shakers. Well, because they were selected to be in that position that they're at now. Some of these people have been bloomed, like the Bushes and the Kerrys from the Skull and Bones. Some of these people have had it since day one at birth. A lot of these people have given that silver platter, but on a bigger level than just your dad's a big CEO, a big exec of whatever company. No, these people believe that because of their bloodline, because of the 13 bloodlines, whatever the case may be, they feel that they are above the rest. They feel that they have the true knowledge and the true power over the rest of us because they have gained that knowledge. They have gained that experience while shoveling the crap onto the rest of us. Well, now we need to turn the tides and gain that knowledge on what they know and even more, and use it against them in the sense of we take back what is ours, and that's just as basic rights, basic freedom, just to live. No one lives anymore. You're telling me that worrying about your bills and you're worrying about all this crap, that's living? That is not living. That's slavery, and that's what this society has induced to us because of the people who are overruling our society.
Exactly, and the Freemasons and the Illuminati and all those people, their tentacles go everywhere. It's not just in one little section of the world. They're everywhere. I remember... go ahead.
No, I was going to say, they made sure that happened centuries ago.
Oh, yeah.
So, they entered, even before Weishaupt and then the German Reading Union, they were making sure that I go back to Voltaire. Voltaire was the first one that started doing the humiliating... He was one of the first cases you'll find of people doing humiliating caricatures of public figures in order to make them look bad, or a religious idea or anything. Oh yeah, Voltaire was quite nasty.
Yeah.
The long history. There's an excellent book. Either one of you guys want it. It was written in the late 1800s. It's called The Grand Orient Exposed.
Wow.
The Grand Orient Exposed. It's by a man by the name of George Dillon, and I've got it on PDF. It's an old book, but he goes through. The Grand Orient would be your modern day homo communism.
Yeah,
and he goes through it, going through all these different groups. He shows where when Weishaupt died, you see that the core of what you would call the Illuminati took up in a group called the Caponari.
Yeah.
Or the charcoal burners, the Caponari of Italy, and eventually the Grand Orient. They took in the Caponari, but at one time, man, what was that? What was the name of? There was a constitution with the Caponari.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and they even, of their lodge, and they basically were ruling over all the lodges at that time. They were the ones that were head of over all the revolutionary action that was going on, and then there was a Grand Orient Mason that came into their midst, who was a Caponari. His name was Manzini.
Oh yeah.
And Manzini was Weishaupt's first solid successor. Not by hey, you're my successor or this or that. It's the thing about these guys. They're like a snowball going downhill. It just takes a little kick for their agenda.
Yeah.
And it picks up. The things they do, the infiltration of the media, military, stuff like that, it just takes and how can you fight individuals, even though these are like the lowest degrees, how can you fight individuals who have individuals in their ranks, groups that have individuals in their ranks that take oaths like in the first degree that they'll get their throat cut and their tongue chopped out and they'll be buried in the sand and so the tide comes up and drowns them. or in the second degree, where they have their chest cut open and the heart ripped out, or the third one where they'll have their body torn in half and their guts torn out, and they'll be burned to ashes and thrown to the four winds.
Jeez, there's some mean people.
Well, just think. In the third degree, you're now told that any master mason, you're not supposed to now. This doesn't include a second degree or a first degree or the profane, anybody that's not initiated. But a master mason and up, you cannot mess with his wife or his daughter or his sister.
Jeez.
Anybody else's wife is fair game to you, but you don't. It doesn't say any man's wife. I think I got it here, man. I got all their degrees and everything. What's it say?
Jesus.
Here we go. I will not have illicit carnal intercourse with a brother master mason's wife, his sister, or daughter. I knowing them to be so as much.
Jeez. Yeah.
He didn't say entered apprentice. He didn't say fellow craft.
Yeah.
You guys. Hey, first and second, you're at risk. Don't bring them home to meet your family.
Yeah, they go everywhere. I was up in Virginia City, Nevada, up here a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago now, and was talking to one of the people at one of the museums up there, and I said, was there, we were talking about stuff like this, and I said, well, you know, were the Knights Templar anywhere near Virginia City? And she goes, well, I don't know. I'm going to have to ask, you know, the guy that runs this place. So we'll go ahead and I'll come back and we'll talk about it. Okay, you know. So anyway, I went, left, I came back, you know, a couple of days later, and she goes, you know, he said no, there weren't Knights Templar. But guess what I found and what I have on my computer? I have a picture of the building in Virginia City, Nevada, that right at the top it says Knights Templar. And I showed it to her, and she's like, oh my God. And I went, yeah, they were here.
Just go to a Masonic lodge. That's where you find the remnants now. I mean, Pike said it.
Oh yeah.
Who else? Manly P. Hall. There's a lot of them that said it. That, you know, Masonry is the continuation of what these guys did.
Yeah.
You can look at their symbols. Even the skull and crossbones. Up until, you know, they had to quit using that so much after the during World War II.
Yeah.
You know, because the Nazis used the skull and crossbones. So,
yeah,
you know, they couldn't use it. But you can go on eBay, man, look for old Masonic rings, like pre-1940, and you'll find the, you know, nice rings with the all-seeing eye pyramid. You'll find some with the skull and crossbones, nice canes with the skull and crossbones on them.
Man.
Yeah, they were all, if you go over to Europe and you look at some of the old cemeteries,
yeah,
you can pick out who's a Knights Templar.
Yeah.
There'll be a skull and crossbones on there.
Yeah. The church up in Virginia City right now is a Masonic temple. I had to laugh, man. I said, and I asked some other people, and I kind of got a little just one of those attitudes of I don't want to talk about this, you know. And after asking so many questions, and I said, well, is there anything underneath, you know, because it's a mining town. Virginia City was huge with mine shafts are all over the place up there. And I said, was there anything underneath the temple or underneath anything where you know, the Masons or the Templars had gold or anything? And after asking that question several times to several people, it was pretty much people didn't want to talk to me after a while. So it's kind of like, well, I better not ask those questions again. I'll just be a visitor, you know. So yeah, you don't want to ask too many questions around people like that. They kind of, you know, they don't like answering questions.
You got to learn the handshakes and phrases.
Oh yeah.
Now, they're, I can tell you they're going to be pissed off once they find out. But you got to learn the handshakes and phrases.
It's like you got to know their language to speak it.
It'll get you out of a parking ticket until they find out and they see you again. How about that?
Yeah. And I know, and looking at some of the history on the U.S., I mean, there was, you know, temples in New York City back, you know, in the day and, you know, in the turn of the century and stuff. And I mean, they're all over. Like I said, they're everywhere. Even, and I'm sure, Nick, they're down there in Las Vegas, and there's symbolism all over the place to prove that they're around.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But
sorry,
this
man.
City, no problem at all. this city here in Las Vegas is unbelievable because, obviously you have the people who are here for the nightlife and that are just stargaze, so they, don't look around. But the ones that, do actually live here, unfortunately, like I do, you see things in the daytime when everything is much more ugly, in Las Vegas here. And when you go around town and you start to see, some of the temples that are here and, some of the other statues that are here. And the one that really caught my eye that I did the YouTube video for was that, straight up the all-seeing eye, the Illuminati, pyramid that's on the back of your dollar bill, right here in the middle of the mall in Las Vegas. And I was just floored. I was dumbfounded. And just watching everybody walk by me as I was videotaping this and doing my own commentary on the video, and they were looking at me like I was subhuman, like I was from another, planet. What are you doing filming this statue? What does the statue even mean? And off camera, I asked the people, do you know what this is right here? Do you understand what this is? No, whatever, crazy man. No, I don't have no money. I'm not asking for money. I'm asking you, do you know what this is that's right in front of you? And I've had people come up to me that claim to be Masons, and once you, as Bob was saying, you got to understand the phrases and handshakes. And I'm not claiming to be an expert whatsoever into the Masonic culture, but I know enough. And I know when I'm approached by somebody that and not that you always have that feeling automatically, and like, okay, this person's no good, or what's this person up to? But I've been approached by Masons before, telling me that, hey, you better watch what you say, you're not knowing what you're saying, okay, buddy. I've had people that messaged me on the Facebook page, and they said, hey, I'm a Mason, I want to support your page, but I need to know what your stance on Freemason, because, I don't want to be supporting the wrong people. And it's just like, do you not understand your importance on, switching this around? We can make a difference collectively as a whole together for humanity, not just for you and your own selected little group. I mean, these people just don't get it. It's again that higher knowledge, that feeling that they have, that the bloodlines that they carry. They don't see the world as we see it. They see it differently because of what they've obtained. Well, who's to say that we can't obtain that without joining their group? We can, folks. It's called knowledge. It's called power. Power gives you knowledge. Knowledge gives you power. You have to understand how these two work together to fight back against their beliefs. Because whether or not you believe that the obelisk means anything or that the all-seeing eye means anything, that's irrelevant, because they do, because they know it does, or whatever the case may be. So in order to understand what we're talking about and what they're talking about in the whole geopolitical structure, you need to understand where they're coming from, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Come down here to the south where Pike's Masonic War was.
Oh,
you will find per mile, you will find more obelisks than you would obelisks, pyramids than you will anywhere in this country. We have one of the largest, actually right here next to me, I'm in Chickamauga, Georgia. We have one of the, actually I think it is the largest Civil War national parks. It's quite huge. You can take off, it would take you to hike off, I think there's a few dozen miles of trails that go through it, through the wooded areas and everything. Jeez. But it's a big Masonic lodge. You got the columns, you got Jackum, Boaz, you got the regular four-sided pyramid, you got the, I didn't know if you guys knew this, do you know that the one on the back of our dollar bill is a three-sided?
Oh, is that?
Look at the angle. Look at the angle, and then imagine a regular pyramid. Look at the angle. It's a three-sided.
Okay.
Now, if you take three pyramids, you interlock them. I mean, you're looking at this. You're looking at well, they symbolize heaven, hell, and earth. Heaven, hell, and earth. And they're also the three interlocking pyramids that you will find on the southern jurisdiction of the Scottish Rites Jewel. Right there. But you'll find all. Now they say, oh, well, that's the way they stack their cannonballs, because they're made of cannonballs. Oh, yeah. And then you look across the street in the big field, you say, well, what about that one over there? It's not made of cannonballs. Oh, but it's got a cannonball on top. Oh, okay.
Okay.
I mean, obelisks everywhere.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, the tallest obelisk on the highest hill in the park is South Carolina, the home of the southern jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite.
Jeez.
Yeah. That was.
Let me ask you this, Bob, if I may. I don't mean to cut you off, but I really want to ask this question here. two of them actually. The power of three. We've all heard that concept, the power of three, how the ancients studied the stars, Orion's belt, the pyramids in Egypt were laid out in the structure of Orion's belt. The power of three, if for the people out there that might not understand that, I'm sure you can relay that information a lot more better than I could. Just really quickly, and I would like to know too, the power of three and how that connects, with their teachings and their knowledge and their beliefs. And also, do you agree to that assumption that there's not 33 degrees of Freemasonry, there's actually 360 degrees of Freemasonry?
Well, I mean, we could even go to what's called, it was Mizraim Free Lodge. Mizraim Freemasonry, and in the 1800s it was taken in by Memphis, by the Lodge of Memphis. And Mizraim before that, I think, had 90, and then once they were taken in by Memphis, they have 96. I have, and they say that there are degrees that no one knows about. Now, the 33rd degree thing, I can go back to the previous question, and I can answer the power of three and the three planes of existence and everything, and the 33. Okay, if we go back to ancient man, the way he believed, they used the word, and everybody says it was the Muslims. No, it was the Arabs pre-Islam, long 1,000 years before this. Yeah. They had zero. Everything started with zero. Now, if you talk to an astrologer within every constellation, they will tell you, okay, there's 3 planes in every constellation, and that there's 10 degrees in every constellation. They're using modern day Anglo-Saxon counting. They're forgetting it. Everything begins because this was within that constellation was the idea of becoming a god through 33 degrees of transcendence. But you always started. You didn't start with 1. You started with 0, and 0 being non-existence. That is their belief that they come out of non-existence and they elevate themselves to the same, to this Godhead by going through this, and by the 33rd degree within that constellation, they are, I'm trying to think. It's at the almost complete, right there at the sun. That's where it is the most illuminated within that constellation as the Earth goes through those 33 degrees of the, but like I said, an astrologer is going to tell you, no, there's 10. It's like, no, you're counting it wrong. You're not counting it right the way it should be counted. I mean, this is where we have Zoroaster, Zarathustra.
Yeah,
non-existence. It comes from non-existence. So that is, but it's the process of evolution. They believe now to the Mason, modern day time, and into the ancient mystic. He believed this is the Luciferian doctrine, the idea of evolving through these 3 planes of existence: earth, heaven, and hell, and becoming perfected and becoming the Godhead.
Jeez. Wow.
But that, Albert, I'll try to find it and get it to you on your Distorted Reality page. That's from Albert Pike. That's an explanation from Albert Pike. From his, I don't know if it was Morals and Dogma. It might have been another book where he was giving a talk.
Yeah, I believe it was in the other book. I've read through pretty much Morals and Dogma, and I'm trying to remember if I've seen it in there as well. But this stuff is just so fascinating, and this is what, you talk about creation, you talk about knowledge, you talk about having that higher power. I mean, this is the stuff that you have to understand is where these people come from and why, the wars take place at certain times and how that has to do with the sun and how it has to do, the ancients looking at the stars and where everything is in place now was because of ancient men and what their beliefs were and how it just evolved. And it's just amazing once you go back and understand history, how you see it in modern day times today. It's not like it's gone away. It's just, evolved into, in a different light, so to speak. So you're not seeing it plain as day because if it was, everybody would call it out. But of course it has to evolve like the rest of us have to evolve. But it's just amazing of how plain as day it really is once you understand how they think.
Yeah. And anytime that you get information and you you understand it, that just gives you a foot up on the opposition. That just, I mean, looking back in history, it's like Brian Lang, Bob calls you the master of research, and every time I hear you and listen to your show, I'm like, wow, I gotta jot that down. That's gonna I gotta look at it. And I've noticed a lot of things that people do is, in government and in entertainment and all this, it always, for some reason, and I found this myself by accident, it's a matter of 3 points. It's always a matter of that 3, and you go back to the power of 3. When I first heard that phrase, was watching years ago. I was watching the show Charmed with the Aaron Spelling show and stuff, and even then, when I was researching long before that, when I was in high school and afterwards, I would come across that symbolism of 3, and then of course the church adopted that. With the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, and that goes back many, many, many years before, the inception of Christianity. But everything now, if you look at what's happening, there's always something happening in 3s. And when you, just recently, when you're looking around, everything, it's like 3 things happened last week, 3 things happened, a week before, and it all leads into something. But once we find that knowledge and get that understanding of what that something is, we're going to have a foot up on them, and we're going to, and even now today, we can expose them for what they're doing to us.
My question is, who do we expose them to?
Yeah, exactly. We got to wake the sheeple up.
That's what's bothering me. That's what bothers me, is that we seem to be going backwards with the amount of people.
Yeah.
It's like we put 3 apples in the basket and 5 fall out.
Yeah.
This day and time.
Yeah, yeah. And I've noticed, and I looked at some of the information that came out about this, was that, what was the last count was 70 to 75% of the law enforcement and military know exactly what's going on, and if their COs or their bosses were to tell them, take the guns away from the American people, they would defy that order immediately because they know what's going on. But when you have knowledge, and knowledge is power, when you have knowledge, you have that ability to change the destiny of any course you're on, or any course that somebody puts you on, if you have that knowledge. And again, and I agree with you, who are you going to tell? And shows like mine, like yours, like Brian's, like Nick's, like, Pete Santilli, once you get the word out there, and it's like, Nick, you talk to that guy there, and he's going, well, maybe I should go check this out. Well, I hope he does, and I hope he gets enlightened with what's going on.
He stuck a seed in his head.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Even these people that don't listen, you stick seeds in their head. They have the aha moments. They might not accept them, but they'll still have them, and they'll be ingrained in them.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And
these people
that's what I tell everybody, too. I tell them, especially the ones that don't have children, because I do, I've got children, I got a child, but I look at them and I say, wouldn't you want to know this information and understand this information to better your child's life ahead? Wouldn't you like to have your child live in a better society and a better world than what we live in now? Because, right now, I feel bad for my child because, my child has to grow up and see all of this and to experience all this, because this is not living. This is slavery. And, they start to see it a different way when you start to talk about the children, because it's not just us anymore. Now we have to think about them. We have to think about the future generations. We don't want them to be ruled by slavery as we have been ruled by slavery. And then the ones that don't have any children, I say, well, do you have any family? No. Do you have any friends? No. Okay, now you just want to be a complete, ass about it, so I'm going to be an ass about it to you. It doesn't matter, because in the end, the final equation is we are all one. We are all humanity. Yeah. We're all in this together. We're all in this floating rock together, whether it's, a big computer-generated world, or it is, in fact, real. And the dirt is real, and it's not computer-simulated. Whatever the case may be, if the Matrix is real or doesn't exist, it doesn't matter. The fact is, they believe in this stuff. They want to control us. It's up to us to understand their way of thinking, so we can in turn counterbalance that attack on us back onto them, so we can try, in some respects, to get out of this modern-day slavery and to become free and whole once again. Exactly.
Amen.
Yes, exactly, and it's going to take some work, and I've been, man, every day I'm always watching and I'm looking, and when we go out, I see stuff and I talk to people, and and I'm seeing, generally speaking, in the last 20 years, I've seen and heard people in such a way to where I'm thinking over a period of time they have been so dumbed down by the system that it's hard to get that little seed planted to help them understand what's going on. Nowadays, I would even say in the last 5 or 6 years, whatever, there are some people going, 10, 15, 20 years ago, this was considered conspiracy theory. Now it's, I don't think they were that strange to say that there's GMO in the food, or fluoride in the water, or chemtrails in the air. I'm beginning to see something here. So, but it's a gradual thing. So I hope. My hope, and I hope it's yours, that soon enough these people get that proverbial rug pulled out from underneath them and do a face plant in the concrete so they can wake up. We just can't be standing in front of them screaming at them all day long. They're just going to have to go through it themselves.
Back in I think it was the 60s or 50s. I'm sure if you told people that, hey, you know what, they're giving black guys down in Tuskegee, they're sneaking syphilis in on them. Yeah. People would say, "Oh, you're crazy. Our government wouldn't do that." They wouldn't sit there and give these black guys syphilis. What kind of crazy stuff? And it happened.
It happened.
It happened. We were talking about Agent Orange earlier. People they know what it did now, and it happens. Like killing the plants. Might kill the people, but we're definitely we can see where to bomb everybody now. Yeah,
and they said, let's go out to the Nevada desert and watch an atomic bomb go off. Nothing's going to happen, and they had like cancer all over the place. So then they went underground, So I've got like 5 minutes, and I want to seriously, Nick, you got to get your show back up, man. I know you've been on hiatus for a while, so.
Yeah, I'm in the works right now. What it was is I had equipment failure. The little equipment that I do have that I was running my podcast off of failed on me. So I'm in the process now of getting the equipment back online. It's looking like it actually is back to working condition. So I know that I've been in talks with Bob himself about possibly coming up on the air on his network, and I'm looking forward to it, man. And I'm telling you, with the three of us putting our heads together, and even Brian Lang, I enjoy his show as well. We can build something here, and we can do something big, and really reach out to people, because we all bring a different aspect and a different view and a different way of looking at things. It's the same topic, but just different ways of putting the pieces together of the puzzle, and that's what people enjoy the most. Because I've always said from day one of starting my show over a year and a half ago, I said to myself, I need to get this information out to people, but in a way where they can understand it, to where I'm not just sounding like a gibbering, babbling idiot. Yeah. I need to connect with them first, and then I can sound like a gibbering, blabbling idiot, because I don't want to hold it in for so long, but I've enjoyed it. Over the past year and a half, people coming to me from all over the world telling me, wow, I didn't know this was going on, I didn't know how, bad this actually was, and, I enjoy this, and I've got military people come up to me and saying thank you, and it's just been a great experience, and I didn't want it to end, but of course, when your equipment craps out on you, there's not really much that you can do about it, especially when we are so small. We are an independent organization. All three of us, and Brian Lang, all four of us, are so small that, we don't have the financial factors like these bigger shows do, so we try our best, and we do our best, but I am looking forward to getting back up on the air sooner rather than later. It's probably looking real soon now. It looks like all the equipment's back up online, but, it's It's been a pleasure to be on your show once again, Wayne, and to possibly be broadcasting again here on Bob's network. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. But again, it's us putting the information out there. I think we do a damn good job at it, folks.
Oh yeah, that invitation is open to whenever you're ready, man.
Yeah,
absolutely. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I enjoy talking to you guys. I got to go up in about 5 or 6 minutes, so I better get off here and let the dogs out and stuff.
Okay. All right, Bob. Thanks.
See you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing how when you're, like you said, your equipment takes a dump. I mean, my computer got something one day, and I had to reboot everything and had to, reconfigure everything, and it was a real pain in the butt. But finally, one day I just, I had enough money, and I got a mixer and went from there. And it's slow, and I try to get sponsors for my show. I try to get support for the show through donations. Nothing yet. But all that's going to do is keep the webpage up and the show going. I get zip in my pocket for that. I mean, that's just going to help keep the show going. If I can take a buck or two out of that somewhere and kind of get better chords or, something like that, then fine. But that's down the line. I'm not sponsored by big old huge companies like, people like Glenn Beck or Alex Jones or anybody like that. I'm independent. You're independent. We're just, scraping by here, doing the best we can. And we hope we are because, I want your listeners and my listeners to know they can email us and let us know what we're doing.
Absolutely. All we can do is keep putting the information out there. And as long as we have a voice and we have a platform, damn it, we will be heard.
Oh, yeah. Even if I got to get on my CB and transmit, I don't care. It's going to get out there. That's for sure. All right. Hey, Nick, I got to get out of here in about a minute. So, of course, Bob Brutus is coming up next. So I want to thank you for being on the show. So anytime you want to come on, and you got something to say, just email me and let me know.
Absolutely. When I get myself back up on the air, I hope to have you on as well again, man. It's always my pleasure.
All right, Nick. You have a good time and have a good evening. And everybody go to his Facebook page, Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker, and check everything out there as well. Got a lot of good information up there to check out. So we're going to take off now. So thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. And
you got it, Wayne. Thank you, buddy.
And everybody over in wakingupthemasses.com chat room, have a great evening, and we will see you. And as I like to always say and end my show with, is we the people have the power, for we are America.